What's up, everybody? This is Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful, a show that highlights people and stories that will inspire you to get your money right. Now, today we're kind of going to do a little pivot. We're going to turn around just a little bit, like not a full turn all the way around, but we're just going to turn a little bit away from just focusing on people that have brands or businesses that focus on personal finance and money or business. And today we're going to talk about the fact that I sleep in a hammock every night instead of a bed, and not just by myself. I sleep in a giant hammock with my boyfriend. But I figured, you know what, we're going to talk about it because I was featured on The Financial Diet with Chelsea Fagan, and we kind of talked a little bit about all my story and everything. And then at the end, I mentioned the hammock, and people went crazy. They went crazy, like literally DMing me and posting comments on YouTube. And I was like, okay, you know what, we got to address it. So today's guest is none other than my boyfriend. My man's is here, you guys.
What's up?
Say what's up, babe.
It's me.
So you've literally never ever made an appearance on my Instagram or that's not true, or my YouTube. YouTube, you've never been on YouTube. Maybe a little clip from a vacation or something. Mm-hmm. And Instagram maybe once or twice.
Yep.
So
I'm going to apologize to all the commenters, who think you're single.
Oh, the people that think that I'm single.
Yeah.
I never purposefully led anybody to believe that I was single though.
But they just, they wish and hope that you're single.
Because I got a ring on my finger.
Right.
Where my ring at?
There's a chance. And now,
wait,
there's still a chance, but it's just much smaller right now.
I want to start the podcast the way I typically do, and the show, right, with my questions. But first, I really do think we should kind of touch on this because I didn't prepare to talk about this. But what is it like to deal with seeing me post my videos on YouTube and then immediate comments, like thirsty ass dudes that are just like, you beautiful, marry me, like teach me how to use money, girl. I'll buy you anything with my credit card, boo.
One side is, I understand, if I was them, I would probably be thinking similar thoughts, right? But on the other side, it's like, man, why do people have to be like that? It's like, messed up.
Yes.
So I don't think I've ever commented on a YouTube video myself.
I comment a lot on videos. Depends. Depends what it is. I'm not just going to be like putting a crazy comment out there. Like it'll have to be like relevant and something that I wouldn't mind being on the internet forever and ever. Somebody can see I wrote that.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I think of when I was a kid, right? Using the internet, I would type all types of stuff into AOL chat rooms.
Yeah, but that's different because it was under some alias like Jersey Boy Dominicano 98 or 84. What was your first AOL thing?
Jammer 525.
Jammer 525.
Out.
Well, I guess what we should do in that case is say your name. My
Jamil.
My boyfriend's name is Jamil.
Come on.
Which is why Jammer makes sense.
Yeah, Jammer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where that came from.
I know. Jamil, Jam. The first three letters, Jam.
Yeah, but then I changed it to Striker 52.
Striker? Where did that come from?
Because I played soccer, and in soccer, one of the positions is striker or forward.
Oh, I was about to say for 1 second, please do not tell me that I am so out of touch with sports that there's strikes in soccer, like bowling and strike one, strike two, strike three in baseball, because I was about to say, am I crazy? Like, I thought I know a little bit about soccer.
What was your AOL name?
Oh, God. Y'all ready for this ratchet? BKDR Nelly for you 89.
Oh, that has multiple facets.
But everyone can tell what it is. BK is Brooklyn, DR Dominican Republic, Nelly is my name, and then for you.
You know, that's part of like the whole thing we're talking about. It's like when you're young, you'll write anything in the comments. The same way, like, who were you for?
I don't know. For you, for anybody that wanted to chat with me in an AOL chat room.
It's very, it's like adolescent.
Yeah, but that's what all the girls used to do.
Right? And all the boys, I guess, they go online and just write, oh, you're so cute. I want to marry you. All this stuff.
A lot of my friends are like Bushwick cutie for you, but cutie would be like Q and T, and then the number 4 and the letter U, Anyway, the point is the 90s were a time. I guess technically that was the early 2000s. But anyway, all right, so let's jump into a little bit about money. So the show that I do, you've seen it plenty of times. You've heard me record it right here in the apartment, but share your biggest money regret, like any time in your life, knowing me before you met me, whatever, the one time where you spent so much money on something and you regret it to this day, you wish you could get that money back.
Yeah, there's two things. One is the more traditional answer, which is like I did one thing that made me lose money at one time, right? That's when I was in high school, or no, college probably. I opened a company because I still am very entrepreneurial, right? So I opened a C Corp.
You didn't even start with the one person LLC.
Not even an LLC.
Single member LLC is usually the basic first step, you know?
Right.
You just went straight for the C Corp.
Yeah, as like a young, maybe I honestly probably blocked it out of my mind what age I was, but either 21, 22, something like that.
Okay, so like junior maybe.
Well, the thing is,
Anyway.
my mom is a CPA.
Shout out to her.
Supporting me in my dreams. And she was like, all right, let's go to the bank and we're going to open a bank account because you need a bank account. And we're going to do this, corporation. And I was going to code this app and I'm going to make $1 million.
Of course.
Like Facebook. And
it's going to be $1 million app immediately. The first one out the gate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
So then what happened was basically the app didn't work out and I totally forgot about the corporation that still existed.
In your name.
Right. And it's not like I forgot. It's more like it was there and I didn't think it was
gonna have
deal.
Any ramifications.
Exactly.
Oh, whatever. I'm not using it anymore.
I'm not using it. Maybe I'll use it later or something. Like just leave it.
But you didn't know you got to pay fees to keep
taxes
rechartering,
yes.
all these taxes and all these things, right?
So a couple years later, probably 5 years later, my mom was like, what happened? What happened with that corporation? Like, did you cancel it? Did you dissolve it? I'm like, no, why would I do that? You opened it. Why don't you close it? Like,
oh, I guess if you weren't bringing in any income to pass through the C Corp to you, then it wouldn't have anything to do with your taxes.
Exactly.
But you still had to pay.
I had to pay fees. The corporation has to pay fees.
To keep it active.
To keep it active. Got it. And then every year you don't pay, it's like fees on top of the fees.
Ooh,
right?
Well.
So eventually she was like, she said, I'll close it for you, but it's probably going to be a hefty bill. And I think at the end, it was like $5,000. Right.
I thought you were going to say like $500 for a college kid. That's a lot. $5,000 in your 20, what,
it was
5?
like maybe 25,
24. Okay, 26.
Yeah. Luckily, I think I got a refund check that was like $4,000.
From what? Student loan?
Taxes. Oh, tax refund.
Income tax. Oh my Lord.
So it wasn't that bad because it was like money came in, money came out.
Right. The IRS paid you, then you pay them right back.
And the other thing I was going to say, which is not really a regret, more like it's like a lesson.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, my roommates were obsessed with poker. Mm-hmm. And I had never played poker in my life. And I barely knew the rules, barely knew how to play. And they were playing for like $5, $6, $10. And with poker, right, the only way you get good is by losing a lot. And
okay, it was practice makes perfect.
So it's more of like through losing a lot of money, I was able to make more money later. But it was kind of like, is that journey really worth it? Because I put so much time into studying, into like learning the percentages, learning the probabilities.
I know people out there are like, wait, MissBeHelpful is dating a gambler? He's gambling money.
Well,
there's a difference between, for me, somebody who's straight up addicted to poker and gambling all the time versus you. I feel like you were more so obsessed with the academics of it. Like you were obsessed with books and video courses and really understanding the probability of every possible outcome in any hand. And that was actually really cool because there's math involved, statistics. There's things that most people who gamble, they don't consider the statistics, which is why they end up losing so much money. Yeah. So I feel like since I've known you and you are a poker aficionado, but I don't think you just throw thousands of dollars down the drain playing poker. I've never seen you really lose like anything besides maybe a couple $100, which I know for some people might be a lot of money, but for the amount of money you make, I mean, you're a tech guy, which we'll get to, but I don't think that ever has really scared me like that you are into poker. Yeah. So just putting that out there in case anybody was like, wait, hold up.
But that kind of ties into the next question, which is the best investment.
Well, like a really large amount of money that you spend that you don't regret.
Well, I was going to say our trips. But people don't look at that and say you're bugging. They say, "Oh wow, I want to do that." So it's not so much a regret. It's just the amount of money. So we went to Barcelona. Yeah. We went to Italy. Mm-hmm.
We've been to Bermuda, St. Martin, St. Thomas.
So
We've been to
so
Paris,
we've invested
London.
a lot in travel.
Yes, we have.
But it ties into poker because on 2 of those trips, I made back the money that I spent on the trip through playing poker.
You did. I just remember like being on the bed and I was sleeping and all of a sudden I wake up thinking like I'm going to wake up and turn over and you're going to be there because we went to bed together. And then I open my eyes and go to the side and you were literally not on the bed. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I was like, what in the heck? And then I took my phone and I remember texting, where are you? What do you do? I literally walked around the apartment. I couldn't find you. Looked out the window. I'm like, where is this dude? What is going on? And then I remember being like,
you were asleep. I didn't want to wake you up.
Oh, please. You could have left a little note or something. I woke up freaking out. Like, I was like, did somebody just pluck him off the face of the earth? Like, and I'm in London. If he doesn't come back, I'm in a foreign country by myself.
Right.
I mean, London is people speak English, but it doesn't matter. And so basically I texted you and everything. You were like, I'm in the casino. And I was like, you better bring home so much money to make up for just straight up disappearing while I was in bed. But anyway, that's the point is like, you just have always kind of like been into that. And on trips, even when you're on vacation away, you sometimes squeeze in a little.
Well, especially when I'm on vacation because that's my time to just do fun stuff.
That's true.
But that reminded me of London. London, I made a lot of money too.
You did.
There you go.
And the thing that I do respect about you, which is why I never, ever nag you about the poker thing, is that you have like a spreadsheet. Like this dude is on it. And of course, MissBeHelpful is like a hawk over him, like making sure he's not, because a lot of people that like things like that, like poker or like playing the lottery, which is different from poker, but it's still all kind of considered gambling. What they fail to do is track their losses. Mm-hmm. So they just keep on. And then when they win, they're like, they feel good and they want to keep playing. And it's like, but have you figured out how much you lost in order to make that much? Because you're still probably at a loss right now and you don't know because you ain't keeping track.
And I think it's also different because I don't play any other games. I don't go and
play roulette, play blackjack.
Well, unless I'm with you or somebody that
don't
wants.
Don't tell people I play roulette.
You love roulette. Let me.
No, that's not true.
Let me spill the tea over here.
Yo,
let me spill the tea. Yo,
right
Instagram's about to go crazy right now.
Let me tell you
something. She loves roulette, but she always wins.
First of all, that's not true. I have lost once or twice. I have lost. But here's the thing about what I do when I play roulette, which is once in a blue moon, okay? Anytime I'm doing anything that is not an investment or an experience that I'm actually getting something back for it, or service or something, I always set aside a little tiny amount of money. I'm like, that is how much I'm literally willing to just throw it out on the experience of playing roulette. So it's kind of like when you go to the movie theater and you go to like the IMAX movie or the 4D movie and it's like $35 for a ticket. And a movie should be like $8 or $10, but you're willing to pay, to put a little money aside just for that experience.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it.
But I don't do it often. Like, let's be real. Tell the people.
It's okay.
How many times?
We don't do it often.
How many times do I do it often? Now you got to clear my name. How many times do I play roulette in a year or in 5 years?
Maybe 2-3 times.
Okay, so maybe once every 4 months.
Yeah, but now with the
with COVID, we ain't going nowhere playing nothing. We ain't rolling nowhere. But I don't think this is for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
You studied it. You really. Okay, well, let's get to the juicy stuff that everybody came here for. Everybody wants to know how the heck we sleep in a hammock together. And not just every now and then for a nap, but every single night instead of a bed. We do not have a bed or a mattress. I mean, you're sitting in front of our room, and so you guys can see our bedroom back there, which is our closet on the left side, and my painting and the wall and the shelf on the right, and then the hammock is pretty much the only thing in the room. Yeah. So how the heck?
So how and why, right?
Yeah. Go back, tell the whole hammock story. How we get into hammock life?
So we got into hammocks when I was having back problems, and no mattress could basically be good enough for me. It was either too firm, too soft. My back was always hurting. So I started researching, okay, what are some good alternatives or solutions that will help me with my back while I sleep? Then I did some research and I read the best thing for your back is sleeping on the floor. That helps align your back, keeps it straight. The second best thing for your back is a hammock. So I tried sleeping on the floor. I got a Japanese tatami mattress, and that was cool. It worked actually.
Is it a mattress?
Yeah, it's called a mattress, but
it's not a mattress.
It's not padded. Let's say that.
It's like a little rollout.
It is padded, but very lightly. So it's technically a mattress still.
All right. So
I tried it. I tried it, but I still had my mattress, my regular Casper or whatever. And then I said, okay, let me try a hammock. So then I had the hammock in there in my room, which is really small, tiny. I hung it up. I still had all the alternatives, and I'm just trying different things every day, whatever I felt like. So I had four options.
Jesus. Okay.
And
so that was your like experimental phase.
yeah, and then I just had, just tried different things every day. And you would come over and we would sleep in the hammock throughout the day, taking naps.
Take a little nap. Those naps were glorious. The best naps I ever took in my life. Like, I would literally wake up from there and be like, my whole life changed. I feel ready to take on anything. And it would just be like maybe 30, 40-minute nap, but like just in a hammock so you sway. Anyway. So
we would take naps, and eventually it would, we would also use it to sit. We would use it to, swing and read, or, it's multi-purpose. And then we started using it for sleeping, randomly here and there. We would just sleep
there instead of the bed.
Sometimes we would read in the hammock and just happen to fall asleep there. And, it just happened. It's not like we were like, let's throw our mattress and just sleep, and without trying it, it
wasn't like a one day to the next.
Yeah, it wasn't one day to the next.
Definitely a process.
And then we found that we were just sleeping in the hammock most of the time, almost all the time. And I was not complaining about my back. So it was like, let's just get rid of this mattress
and get our $1,000 back.
Yeah, get a refund.
Yeah, if you have like one of those $1,000 mattresses that come in a box that you like put it in the house and it inflates itself, and any of those types of companies that have kind of done with Casper has done, they have usually like 100 days that you can try the mattress free. And if you pay for it, you try it for 100 days. If you want to return it back, they will send a guy in a truck to pick up that mattress and take it back and actually donate it or something so that it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah.
So we ended up returning it when we found out that was their policy. We were like, it's not. It was like 98 days. We were like, we good. We're gonna keep this hammock and get our $1,000 back. Great.
Yeah. So then that's how it happened. Since then, we've basically been hammock only.
That's right. So let's describe the process. And in this, like, I'll try to throw some visuals over the YouTube video here too to help people picture it. But pretty much the first thing that you have to understand is that it is not a little hammock that swings between two trees like you see in like videos or like on the internet or in Jamaica, like, or in DR. Like, we're talking about a massive hammock, and this is a Brazilian hammock.
Double XL.
Jesus. Okay. Double XL Brazilian all cotton hammock.
Yeah.
And it is, when I say huge, I mean, you open it up and it is so wide, like
it's big,
really, really big. So you can just kind of like get lost in it.
Yeah.
You have like a bunch of fluffy, I was going to say cuitos, Spanish word over here, comforters, right? Like, so it's huge, first of all. Second of all, I think the important thing to know is that you're not supposed to sleep in it the way people think you would, which is like a banana. Like the shape of a banana.
Yeah.
That is bad. You don't get in the hammock that way. That's fine if you're reading a book for a little while, then you're rocking or taking a nap. But through the night, you actually don't want to sleep in a banana shape. So tell people about like the research that you did that showed you like the proper way to sleep through the night in the hammock so that your back would improve, your posture and the pain will go away.
Yeah. So first you have to make the distinction between the square hammocks, the ones with the wood on the ends that flip over very easily, and the banana hammocks, which look like a banana. So once you understand that, you want to go for the banana. You don't want to sleep directly across
in the shape of
a banana, because obviously that's going to cause a curvature, right, in your spine. You want to turn about 45 degrees, your body, right? So what you're going to do is create tension in the cloth so that underneath you, it's a straight line. And it's hard to explain.
You pretty much just tilt yourself at a diagonal.
Yeah, diagonal.
So instead of going from the top to the bottom, you go from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So you're literally just tilting and going diagonally. But when you take a nap in a hammock on vacation, it's glorious. Everybody knows that. So why is it so hard for people to accept that you're just going to take 3 naps straight consecutively? Instead of getting up, you're just going to sleep for 8 hours instead of 3 or 2. And why is that so hard for people to accept? Like, why is, when we say that we sleep in a hammock, people look at us like we're freaking aliens?
Well, I think it's because it's both of us, mostly. They're like, I get one person.
That's what Chelsea said.
I love hammocks.
That's what Chelsea said.
I get down with hammocks. Well, first of all, it's like, most people have not thought outside the box of like having a mattress in their apartment. So they've never been exposed to the idea of even, like, how most people see hammocks either on stands outside or tied to trees or something. They've never thought of, I can actually nail this into my wall.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
or I can put a stand if I have enough space inside of my apartment.
It's true. You only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
So, and that's one of the things that I feel like made me so attracted to you, is because you're such a curious person. You're always constantly trying to learn things that you maybe would never have been exposed to unless you went seeking it out. Because no one's gonna drop that little nugget of knowledge in your lap. Like, hey, by the way, if you're having back pain, a hammock might help. You had to go seeking that knowledge, and you did. And I feel like, I don't know, like a lot of other people are a little more, I guess, complacent. Like, oh, my back hurts, I'm just gonna go to the doctor and tell them I have back pain, instead of like digging into the depths of the internet and figuring out what this is for yourself. So I love your curiosity. And it has led to us experimenting in a lot of other ways with weird things in life. Like, we're considering van life. And I would never in my life have imagined, first of all, that someone would live in a van unless they were like homeless.
Well, what's van life? What's van life?
So
for the
van
people
life,
that
if
don't
you
know?
guys go on any social media platform and hashtag van life and look at the feed, you will see there are literally thousands of people living in their vans because they want to. They might have a lot of money. They might be a successful entrepreneur with multiple businesses. They want to live in their van or in their RV.
It's an extension of tiny home life.
Yes. It's mobile, tiny homes.
Right. So it's not like you live in a van because you have to, or
some people do.
Some people
but let's be real.
I don't think that's what van life refers to.
Right. There's an entirely separate category of people living in their vans that has been glamorized.
Yeah.
And that is what we are interested in. We're not interested in like the looking like hobos in a van. I mean, if we had to live like that, I suppose we would, but like we don't have to. We can afford a decent apartment.
Right.
We have good incomes, but we really like the idea of being on the go.
Yes.
That's one of the things about us. Like you said before, we travel all the time. London, Paris, we've been to all these places. Being stuck in one place kind of, I feel like for you more than for me. Like I can get used to, I can accept it. But you, it's like after a certain number of months, you start getting that itch again. Like,
where are we going?
You just want to go all the time. You know, okay, where's the next trip? Where are we going next? And I don't mind. I love that. But like sometimes I feel like I am limited to certain areas because of the work that I do. I have to be able to provide workshops for financial literacy and work with students and teachers. So kind of depends. But I like traveling too. So this idea of living in a van that we convert to a tiny home on wheels, and it looks beautiful. Like I'm going to put a couple of montages of different vans that we've seen that are like, oh, that's beautiful. I mean, it's tiny, but it's beautiful. But it's beautiful.
But it's also kind of slightly smaller than some apartments we've lived in. So it's not like
New York
it's not
struggle.
like it's a huge jump for us.
Shout out to my New Yorkers who've lived in like shoeboxes all their lives. Yo, New York City, bro, that is how we live. Like we've always lived in these tiny spaces with little sunlight. And I'm not saying that is healthy or that's how it should be. That's just what we know. Yeah. So I like that.
So I've been thinking outside the box for a long time, right? I love searching for things while I'm in the moment.
You do.
One of my crazy ideas, which I'll put it out right now, is Search Party, which is basically a show where me and MissBeHelpful put it in the comments if this was something that you would be interested in.
Okay.
It's basically a show where we talk, and anytime anything comes up that we are not familiar with or we don't know about or we're curious about, we look it up. We have to stop and look it up.
I like that. Because, you know, a lot of times in my life, at least, I'm in a certain environment of my life a lot. Family, friends that I grew up with and stuff where we'll literally just get into arguments for mad long. For like maybe like 40 minutes, we're arguing back and forth. And it's like, yo, stop arguing and Google it. Like this argument could be settled with a quick Google search.
5 seconds.
Literally. But it's about pride. It's about like, I ain't going to be wrong, not to you. Now, you're not going to beat me. And it's just, but so I like to.
But it's also laziness. It's like, we want to keep the conversation going and at the cost of actually coming to a conclusion.
That's true.
Right?
But at the same time, you got to recognize that the internet doesn't always mean the truth.
Right. But I think most of the time you can get an approximation of the truth. You know, you can at least conclude that conversation. You can say, this site says this. And so you have some sort of proof, some sort of evidence.
That's true.
Right?
You can at least cite your source.
You
so
can
it's not
cite
like
a source, yes.
It's not like you're making that up.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys tell us if you like Search Party, if this idea, I mean, I'd be down to do it. I just want to, I feel like we need to hash it out a little more, but I do like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us about yourself, because I mentioned a little bit already that you're a techie, kind of like a tech guy, and you know, you're very like curious and free. If you like your freedom, you like to be able to travel. But like, tell us what you're up to now. Like, I mean, you have a blog that you've been developing that is kind of got a lot of traction pretty quickly that you should tell people about. You also create really cool projects and apps on your own. Like you know, do a lot of creating of stuff like direct memo. You should talk about that, and then also just tell us like what you're up to in general.
Yeah. So I'm basically exploring now, kind of doing creative things that I haven't been able to do before. Before I was working as a happiness engineer, which if y'all don't know what a happiness engineer is, you probably don't know, but I love talking about it.
It's the funniest title ever. What's your title? I'm a happiness engineer.
Oh man. It's a good conversation starter too. It's like,
that's true, like a quirky title.
What the hell?
What does somebody with that title do on a day-to-day basis at their job?
Yeah. So my first job in tech was a happiness engineer, and basically it's helping people with their WordPress sites and making sure that it works correctly, if they have any questions, things like that. Basically kind of like a support type of role. But
and you were at WordPress for a number of years.
Yeah, I was there for
almost 5 years.
4 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Okay. And then after WordPress, you continued doing happiness engineering, but for a different startup.
Yeah, for a small startup. And then I was like, okay, what do I actually want to do? Because while I was happiness engineering, I was teaching myself how to code. I was learning beyond just WordPress support. I was learning like, okay, how do apps work? How does app marketing work? How do you get involved in the VC scene, right? How do you get funding?
What's
for
VC for people that are not tech
venture
people?
capital, right?
Because I don't know what that was.
So
yeah. Okay. So getting money.
If you think of any major corporation that's in the stock market right now, Facebook, Amazon, they all got started with venture capital funding.
So you learned about that, the whole process of VC, the VC process, like pitching to a VC, getting them to like, you know, what questions are they going to ask, all that kind of stuff. Like
what percentage of the company do they take or do they expect when they give X amount of money?
I guess all the Shark Tank fans are very
yeah.
familiar with this. Okay, cool. So then after that, you kind of immersed yourself in that world and you realize like, do I really want to be a happiness engineer supporting other people and other companies, or do I want to create something on my own, right? And you've been really doing like your own thing for a while now, which is only possible if you save your money, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that's one of the benefits of living with me and dating me, that we were like setting up your Roth IRA, making sure you had like all your stuff together, getting your credit right, like all these things that I feel like maybe if you have been dating some other hoochie mama, she wouldn't have helped you get your money right.
Of course not. Actually, I would tell a quick story. When I met MissBeHelpful,
she
wasn't MissBeHelpful yet.
They know my name is Janelli. It's fine.
When I met Janelli, she found out that I did not have any credit.
Oh.
Zero credit. I never had a credit card in my life.
Nope.
I only had debit cards, checking accounts.
And I didn't understand. I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You've never had a credit card? I've had 5 and they've all like made me rip my hair out. But you never had one at all, ever. It was always
to me, it was like the debit card looks just like a credit card.
I'm done.
I have a card.
So wait. You knew the difference between a credit card and a debit card. Come on.
All I knew is that when I went to pay and they asked me debit or credit,
you had to say
do
debit.
not say credit.
Oh my God.
That's all I knew.
Jeez.
I had cell phones in my family plan, so I never had to get my own cell phone.
Everything was always in the family's name.
Yeah. I always paid for my apartments like basically under the table. Like I never leased an apartment or officially rented. I was always like paying somebody that paid the rent or something.
Who would just give people cash and they would handle the rent.
Exactly. Yeah. So I never came across a situation until I was maybe 29, 30.
Yeah.
That I needed credit.
Yeah.
Or I needed a credit score. Right.
Yeah. And I also was like, wait, you don't have credit? I don't know about to date you, boy. You better have credit. Because one day we're going to want to get a house. One day we're going to want to do things. And you need to have credit for those things. Yeah. So I just was like, okay, sir, no. And so what did we do to kind of help you establish credit off the bat? Because I kind of knew you weren't going to get a credit card because you had already been denied when you had tried to apply for a credit card. So I was like, oh, dang, like now he's almost 30. well, I guess you were like in your mid-20s, but your mid-20s, grown man with no credit, the banks were looking at you like, nah, bro, we're not going to take a chance on giving you money because we don't know if you're going to pay us back. You have no credit history.
Yeah.
So you kept getting denied, and I didn't want you to have too many hard inquiries. So I was like, let me do some research and get you an alternate route to establishing credit. And we ended up going with Self.
Well, actually, before that, I opened a secure card with like a very low limit.
Right, like $200.
Yeah. But it was through my family, right? So my mom is that called cosign? I don't know what that's called.
She added you as an authorized user.
Authorized user, yeah.
It's funny to me that he doesn't know these things.
Clearly, haven't watched enough of your videos to know. But you're gonna see a lot of this if I keep talking.
You ask me to talk about tech, and I'll be like, what is it called? A venture capital fund? Oh, anyway.
So I got a card for a very low limit through my mother. And then, but that was only after applying on my own and getting rejected.
Right, exactly.
Yes. So that was already
So there's a tip right there.
Yeah.
If you're a person who goes and applies for a credit card and you get denied, you shouldn't just give up on yourself or go continue to apply for other cards. You should stop and say, okay, a regular credit card is probably not the thing that I'm going to get approved for right now, but I can try to take a step back and get a secured credit card. But you do need to have a deposit. So like $200, $300 to give to them.
But it's crazy because they only denied me because I had no credit. Right?
Okay, first of all, that is hilarious that you would say that. That is the reason why you were denied. But not the only reason. That is the prime reason.
How are you going to build credit if you don't have credit?
Yes. Okay, see, this is definitely a chicken or the egg catch-22 type thing where it's like, okay, so you need me to have credit in order to get credit, but you won't give me credit because I don't have credit. Yeah. How am I supposed to get credit? Like, I get that frustration from people, but the problem is not that. The problem is that you didn't start early enough. So because you were almost 30 and you had no credit history, that's what made them think like,
what's going on?
What's going on with this dude? If you had established a credit card, for example, I applied for a credit card when I was 18. I had no credit, never had nothing in my name, nada. And they approved me immediately. Why? Because I was 18. So they knew that I was a risk. And to mitigate that risk, they gave me a high ass interest rate on that credit card. So I ended up paying like 27% interest rate on my credit card. Okay. But at least I got approved because it was early enough for me to get in the game. A person who has no credit has no debt. So I was like, he don't owe nobody nothing. And I'm here owing him $20,000, which could have sounded like $1 million to me at that point in my life. $20,000, you might as well tell me I owe $20 million. I was like, how am I supposed to come up with that? So I kind of figured it out on my own because I didn't want to bring that into the relationship. And I feel like, I mean, luckily I did that, but there's plenty of couples that actually handle it differently. Like they tackle it together or they, like they figure it out. And I am glad that I didn't kind of let my personal debt like seep into our relationship. I don't know what that would have been like if you had found out that I had $20,000 of debt and I was on a journey to pay it off. I feel like I
would not have cared because I know so many people with debt that I wouldn't pay it off for you, but I wouldn't leave you for it.
Thanks. That's how much you love me. Yeah. I would have paid it off if I loved you. You wouldn't pay it off if you loved me. That's a lie. That's not true. I wouldn't have done that. I really do think that everybody who has personal debt needs to take personal responsibility and pay it. I don't think I would have ever really felt comfortable with you paying my debt because it wouldn't have allowed me to come to terms with it. It would have been like, oh, great, it's wiped away.
I think it depends how much of it is.
$20,000 is a lot.
If it's $120,000, then it's like, okay, this is holding us back from doing things. Yeah. If we can get you out of debt, I can see that being more of something I would get behind. Yeah. Like it's holding us back from if it's holding us back from doing something I want. Yeah. Then I'll be like, okay, I'll help, and then you pay me back. Yeah,
no, that's true. Let's go back to. You were talking about like what you were learning, like you were learning how to code, you were learning how to do all these things. And so how did you go from like working at WordPress and working at startups to just like stopping and really focusing on you were building like, you have a blog, you have direct memo, like you kind of just like started things on your own. Like talk about those things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just thinking of, what are some cool projects I can devote my time to that will make me money while I sleep? Okay.
Passive income. Mm-hmm. Hello.
Right. So, at that time, I had worked from home for 5 years, something like that. It's been normal for me, but what I was thinking was, okay, what are some of the things that I would have liked to have as a tech remote worker, right? Now that remote work is blowing up. And, I just came up with a small app that did something very simple that does not exist currently. If anyone is familiar with Slack, it's a chat app that people
everybody uses Slack these days.
a lot of people don't know what Slack is.
True, but most companies use it now.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
People know it.
So I thought of one thing, which was what I call direct memo, which is when you post a message into a channel, basically it doesn't go into that channel, it doesn't distract everyone, even if they don't need the message. It just goes directly to them as a private message. So this is good for like CEOs, anyone that needs to reach a lot of people and they need to make sure that they get it.
Yes. Right? Anybody who has a team. I mean, I've used it plenty of times. I've used direct memo and it is a lifesaver because I feel like I would literally sometimes I would want to send everyone an individual invitation or individual message. And by the time it would take me to type that thing out 8, 9, 12 times for everybody in the company to get it, with direct memo, I sent it once. I did the / thing, sent it, and everybody got an individual. That was pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah. And it's useful for a lot of different cases, right? Like if you have a team, if you have a course, like the courses you were talking about, Slack was not made for courses. It's made for work.
True.
So there's a reason they don't have certain features. And, one of those features is what direct memo does. So if you want to check it out, it's directmemo.io. It's good for anyone that has a team or has a community or anything on Slack.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so outside of that, I've always been kind of into online communities.
Right.
Even back then in my story about the corporation that I started, that business was about starting an online community. More not starting a community, but an app that helps communities communicate with each other. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Facebook groups, right? Gets communities of similar like-minded people together. Yeah. But not in a very good way. I've always been obsessed with this type of concept of how can we do better, communities online better.
You've done a lot of research on this.
I've ever since probably high school or college, I've been thinking about this. What I did is I started researching all of the online communities that have ever existed, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of, back to MySpace?
MySpace is late in the game, bro.
What? This is how much I know about tech. I thought MySpace was the first social app.
I'm talking about from the beginning of the internet, right? In the
1991, I don't know, when is that?
In the 70s.
The internet was around in the 70s?
Very early computers, right? To give you an example, the very, very, very first social network was at Berkeley in California. On campus. What they did is they would have one computer that they would roll around campus and people would line up on the computer to type in a message like Craigslist now.
Oh my God.
They would put, I'm looking for a roommate. Oh, and then the next person behind them would come and they would put,
anybody want to come to my housewarming tonight?
Yeah. and they would categorize it like under events, under classifieds, under pets.
So was it like one web page was the internet at that time?
It was a computer that you went to that had all the data that people put in, but that was connected to other computers through the internet. Right?
Got it.
But they didn't have enough capability to give everybody a computer. Right? It was very, very manual. So that was the first social community, right? Because it blew up.
What was that called?
It was called Community. Wow, I totally forgot the name. It was.
We'll post it.
Hold on. Let me look it up. Community Memory. I didn't have to look it up. I just remembered.
So Community Memory.
Community Memory. And they literally called it that because it was like it was a brain for your community.
It's everyone's brains in one brain.
Yes.
It's the community's memory. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That is not very catchy. How do you
catchy.
Market community memory?
There was no
community memory. Community memory. We got 8 syllables in that, John. That's not catchy.
It's like back before the telephone was the telephone. It was called like the voice transmitter or something. It was like a different name, right? But then over time, people are like, oh, that's a telephone.
Let's market it.
Yeah,
let's make it marketable.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now, where do you put all this research that because you know a lot about social networks that like I literally never heard of community memory. I swear I thought like MySpace and Skonex. Shout out to anybody who literally had a Skonex page because I can't believe you didn't know what Skonex was.
No,
First of all,
I guarantee you nobody listening or watching.
Comment below if you know what Skonex is, and better yet, if you had a Skonex page, post it in the comments. I swear I'm gonna find a.
If I never heard of Skonex, then that
Skonex.com was the ish because Facebook, when it first came out, was only for college kids, and so it was like, oh, we can't really get on there unless we lie about our age. And man, bump that, we're gonna make our own. Skonex was like for high school kids in New York City. Anyway, or I guess I thought it was in New York City specifically, but it could have been other cities too. Anyway,
yeah.
So tell us about the research and what it led to.
Yes. So it's called October. So there's this concept in social networks called eternal September. So let me break that down a little bit. So one of the early social networks was called Usenet. Usenet started at Duke University. And what they did is they had a community of just college students, kind of like Facebook, and it blew up. But it was like all computer nerds because only computer nerds had access to the computers. Okay. So it was just a big network of computer nerds, like just having a big party on the internet, talking about nerdy stuff.
I was actually at parties in college, like twerking, being ratchet. Like these guys were partying on the internet. All right, babe. Anyway.
Well, an internet party is when you get together and you talk about stuff you're into, right?
That's not a party. Anyway, that's like a internet gathering. Anyway, go ahead.
It's a gathering space, yes.
So they gathered on the internet.
Yeah. So, and they had all these different topics for you to talk about. Okay. You could talk about, you could talk about your classes, but you could talk about surfing. You could talk about any sports that you did. You could talk about trading cards, literally whatever anything. You had.
Yeah.
So what happened here is with Usenet, it got so big that it started expanding beyond these nerdy kids.
Hey, and that's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, but the problem is they had no moderation, right? So once it got too big, it started getting overrun with spam.
Oh, it sounds a lot like Facebook.
Sounds a lot like
like everything.
It sounds
like
exactly
Reddit, like Twitter, like Facebook,
yes.
like Google, everything.
And that's why studying history is so important because literally history just repeats itself over and over and over. You think that Twitter is going through something new? This has happened back since the community. Let me tell you.
Thought about that. I'm like, these are these new problems that we're having in the 21st century with technology. This is not new. Let me tell you,
community memory, the first one,
they
have a pamphlet. I looked it up in the computer like history archives or something. They have a pamphlet that they gave out that talks about how they're worried about what would happen if community memory got too big, if people started using it for bad purposes. They thought about this stuff back then. This is not a new thing.
Yeah.
So history is very important. Anyway, eternal September, I'm getting to this. So what happened was in September of whatever year, AOL opened up their servers to the Usenet community. So anyone on AOL, which is like a huge community, millions of people. Everybody was on AOL. So everybody on AOL started joining Usenet. All these young kids that are, like the YouTube commenters.
BKD Arnelli. 89.
BKD Arnelli was in there just talking crazy stuff, right? Just messing with people for fun.
Right. Trolling. Usenet was not having it?
Well, it's not that they're not having it, it's that they had no control.
Oh.
So that was the month they said that Usenet died. Everybody just gave up. So they said that was the eternal September. That September never ended for Usenet, and it was just a dark time.
That's so sad.
So then I called my blog October 1st because it's like a reference to like, okay, what happens after September? How do we get to October?
Right.
How do we get it right? Exactly.
I love that. Okay, wait. So if I want to read your blog October 1st, where do I find it?
So
is it on WordPress? Because you used to work there.
It's on october.substack.com. I covered different social networks throughout history that maybe you heard of, maybe you haven't heard of. But
did you put Skolnex on there?
I haven't done. Maybe that's my next one. Let me look it up if I can find any information on it, because I don't know. I don't even know if this is real.
It's real. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So if you were to give people a life motto or something, even it may be related to money, maybe not, that would be something that they would see often, that they would constantly be reminded either on a billboard or like on a dollar bill or something that people see all the time.
Yeah.
What would your message be?
If it's on a dollar bill, which I know it will be, I would say pass it on. Meaning, in the same way you go out and acquire all these skills, acquire all these things, material things, knowledge, money, wealth.
Yes.
Once you do that and you get to a certain level, you got to pass it on.
Don't let it die with you.
Exactly.
I love that. There
you go.
After I go back and I watch some of the episodes of the podcast that I put out, I recognize how much I say, I love that. I love that. I say it so much. You guys, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I say I love that so much. But anyway, I love that. And this was awesome. And I know that there's going to be so many gems that people are going to take from this conversation. Hopefully we inspire people to better communicate with their partner, to believe that they can find love, to be curious and, adventurous and also fiscally responsible all at the same time. But anyway, that's pretty much what I got. So
till next time.
Peace. If you like this video, which I'm sure you did because the video was the bomb, then you're going to want to watch all the other episodes of the Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful podcast. And they're all right here in this playlist. So click the playlist to watch those episodes. And if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the subscribe button right now so you can get videos every single week and to join Team Be Helpful right here. That's all I have for you guys. Till next time, peace.